This one. Okay. So you can. Let me see this one so that the people can now be. He's showing. What is video is showing? Yeah, I know. Okay. So you can start.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, can you kindly raise up your hand? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first public lecture for 2023-2024 calendar year. Today's topic will be looking at general principles of effective management and control of rehabilitation and construction sites. Our guest presenter today is no other person than Engineer Obi Anaduaka. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers. He's also a fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Highways and Transportation Engineers. And also is a fellow of Institution of Highways London. Engineer Obi Anaduaka graduated in 1977. He studied civil engineering at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. In 1992, he obtained a Masters of Civil Engineering from the University of Lagos. While in 2005, he obtained certificate of senior executive programs organized by World Bank at the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom. Engineer Obi Anaduaka has worked for Federal Republic of Nigeria under the Federal Ministry of Works for 35 years. Of Nigeria under the Federal Ministry of Works, Department of Highways. He's a native member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers since 1986 and had attended all FNSE conferences. He was also the national chairman of the Nigerian Institution of Highways and Transportation Engineers from 2016 to 2019. Also, is a registered engineer with the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria and a member of the Council of the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria since from 2006 to 2014. Distinguished engineers, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome our guest presenter for today, Engineer Obi Anaduaka, FNSE, FNIHTE, and FNS this, FNS that. Thank you very much. FNIHTE and FNS this, FNS that. Thank you very much.
Hello. Good afternoon, colleague engineers and other audience who are participants and who I can name as friends of engineers. You are welcome today to participate in the monthly lecture series of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Abuja branch. Today, We want to share information on the general principles of effective management and control of road rehabilitation and construction sites. Some of us are conversant with the topic. Some of us worked on sites, but there are some little things we've been trying to either ignore or we are not conversant with. I think after the end of today, there might be some little things you may pick, which is information, which is knowledge. And I don't know what you call me, either a chief presenter, because all of us are presenters, and we know what the topic is all about. So what I have an outline that deals with the definitions. We want to bring you back and get you used to the word rehabilitation, highway construction, site of works. When we say site of works, so many of us may not be very clear about what the site of works. It's not the market, it's not the bush farm. Site of works has a definition. And finally, we'll talk about effective management and control in those sites. So also under definition, we're going to define the general principles, which may comprise of planning, site organization, authority / responsibility, directing and delegating, controlling, supervision, safety on site, and then security. Then we will now conclude. Then after conclusion, we may be available to clarify some information which we encountered during the presentation. So let's deal with the highway rehabilitation. It's been in the news. Some of us have been hearing about it, but we may not be too particular about the real meaning. It's a form of highway maintenance. And you know, when a road facility has been finished, there is the party, the flagging, the happiness that this road has been finished. But while we are still there, deterioration commences. The road, which has just been finished, deterioration continues. And highway maintenance seeks to preserve and keep the pavement structure as necessary as possible as in its original conditions during commissioning. And as you are already aware, pavement deterioration is being caused by several factors. As you know, the traffic generated by users is one source of pavement deterioration. Climate, wind, and other environmental conditions, especially rain, heat, and poor drainage, affect pavement. Then the wetting and drying of pavement materials, if there is rain, if there is flood, they wet the component pavement materials, which also causes pavement deterioration. And also there is pavement failure, which is due from progressive deterioration. Some of these things were mentioned. When it's progressive and there are accumulated deformations, like potholes, water seeps through the potholes, there is distress caused by traffic, overloading, bad use, cutting of the pavement by those who want to install pipes and cables. All these are sources of pavement deterioration. There is now need to make good the pavement so that it looks like the original condition during commissioning. And for rehabilitation seek to restore all those characteristics of the road structure to look the way it looked during commissioning. During rehabilitation, care is taken not to alter majorly the characteristics of the road. You keep the width as much as possible, the vertical and the horizontal alignment as much as possible. You only tend to touch them if they have been altered due to flood or from use. You have observed that there are some dangerous curves, then you can do some little amendment to the horizontal alignment. But as much as possible, rehabilitation seeks to maintain the road, to maintain the structure as near as possible in its original conditions as constructed. Also, when we hear about the highway construction, it deals with provision of a fresh route. If you intend to connect locations A, B, and C along approved alignment, maybe you will see a virgin bush, a virgin forest, the politicians say, okay, connect Abuja to Kefi. When the engineers get there, it's just a bush. Survey is done, different appraisals are made, and the road work comprises connect A to B. And during constructions, works of complex nature are executed based on approved plans and standards. And during the execution, various strategies are adopted. You have to plan. There must be planning. In planning, you have to seek for various conditions. What are the intentions? Then you have to do survey. The road has to be designed. Then you have to deal with earthworks. What comprises earthworks? Sources of materials for earthworks. These are things you have to contend with to enable you conclude the design of the roadwork. And definitely, the roadwork itself cannot survive if you have not introduced elements of drainage and concrete works. These are the things that control the flood, control the stormwater, so that to save your materials of construction. Then definitely there is surfacing of the roadway. The surfacing is that area, that location, that top. Sometimes people call it the black top. Well, now we are hearing so much of concrete pavement. So that surfacing now provides comfort to road users because it has to be near smooth as possible. And while we are talking about the highway construction, you are also aware that so many parties to this to highway contracts or highway construction. The contractor is a party, the owner, representatives of the owner, the engineers, the consultants. There are other people, other persons who are either working under the contractor to offer services. And the contractor, as you are aware, is party to the contract, and he is the person who does the execution, probably the physical execution, providing such approved materials. And it is the contractor that employs the use of substantial and variety of men and machinery. Then, having said the foregoing, let us define a site of works. Site of works. Site of works can be defined as such area of land covering the total length of the road, bounded by the rights of way, therein including the areas acquired for the contractor's base camp and plant yard. All these I've mentioned comprises the site of works, and there are some legal issues surrounding the site of works. Usually, this site of works at the beginning of the project is officially handed over to the contractor by the client. And as you are aware, the site of works is a busy area which attracts movement of heavy machinery to move material, lift loads, which desire considerable site safety. Now let's talk about effective management and control as a definition. It is that process of economic, effective, and efficient use of scarce resources in reaching predetermined objectives. In this case now, what is our objective? To do a good road for the use of man. The primary objective is to increase productivity and to develop uniform ways of doing work, simply controlling resources to accomplish the predetermined levels of service. With the foregoing definitions, just to bring us to the same page, so that if we hear it, we have a faint idea of what we're talking about. So now let's deal with general principles of effective management and control, which is very close to the topic of the presentation. There are tools that enable managers to decide what should be done to accomplish given tasks and to handle situations which may arise in management. First is the issue of planning. Planning comprises a process of examining and selection of the most appropriate alternative sources of action. It's possible to determine specific goals and objectives in terms of level of service, determination of the work program, the kinds and the amounts of work necessary, determination of the resource needed in terms of manpower, equipment, and material required to accomplish the work program. Possible to define the basis for preparation of the performance budget. Let's talk about site organization. In sites, usually it's a process of establishing a framework that will enable the carrying out of the work program. Site organization implies organizing concerns, manpower, staffing, and allocation of materials and equipment to individual management units, all which are based on the work program. This enables the planned work program to be carried out within the specified time period. Practical framework of site organization includes, in some area, depending on the size of the project, site manager, that's project manager. Usually the project manager, in some cases, is the ER if it's in the Federal Ministry of Works. There's the site manager, the contractor's agent. All contractors' activities come under the contractor's agent. Then there is the consultant supervisor. Depending on the size of the program, the client may appoint a consultant supervisor to assist the project manager or the engineer's representative to carry out his works. The consultant supervisor is not the manager of the site. He has his own role and complements the work of the engineer's representative. There is also the laboratory officer on both sides, the contractor side, and then the client side to cross-check the checking of the materials. There's the plant yard manager. Most of these people operate under the contractor's contractor's boss. Authority and responsibility. The site operates under a central command where the project manager reserves the legal right to give the command, order, or instruct, and compel the subordinates to do a certain act. If you go to every site, you will see a chart. You see the location of the project manager, and you see the positions of all the actors who have different actions to perform on site. There's always a linkage who reports to whichever other, and which is each person's responsibility. Responsibility is the outcome of authority, which entails the obligation of the subordinate who has been assigned the duty by his superior. Now, we mentioned the issue of directing, which is the process of controlling supervisory and organizational effort to get the planned work done. We talk about controlling. This is a process which compares actual performance against planned performance as actual work related to work program objectives, identifying areas requiring corrective steps, and taking management action to correct poor performance. Without control, the work performance might go south. So you need this aspect, this process of controlling to bring everything to rail. Effective control requires accurate, timely, and focused reporting of man hours, equipment hours, quantity of materials used, and works accomplished. Now we talk about effective control. For you to achieve effective control of the activities on site, it must be accurate, which implies information on performance must be accurate. It has to be timely. Information must be collected, routed, and evaluated quickly. Objective and comprehensible. Information should be understandable and seen to be objective. Focused on strategic control points. Then what you have here is it has to also be economically realistic. The cost of implementing a control system should be less than or equal to the benefits to be derived. Then we have organizational realistic, compatible with organizational realities, coordinated with the organizational workflow. Control information must get to all the people who need it. But you have to be some flexible, inbuilt flexibility so that the organizations can react quickly. Then their control must be acceptable by organization members related to meaningful and accepted goals. Okay, let's talk about supervision. Supervisors are placed permanently on site to implement and execute the project effectively and in line with the requirements of the contract and good engineering practice. Supervision provides confirmation that the works are progressing correctly and is responsible for making recommendations to the owner for the takeover of the works. Supervision provides technical support to the project manager of the client in their dealings with the other parties. Supervisors participate in all necessary site meetings, progress review meetings organized by the client rep. Supervisors perform planning, organization, and administration of the project supervision team. Supervisors check and cite the site log and all other documents required by law. Another issue as a general principle, which are mostly not very prominent in some sites, is an issue of site safety. Project sites are high-risk environments that require commensurate health and safety consideration and precautions. Several measures are mandatory to enhance safety at project sites. They include, 1, safety training, site-specific induction training, identifying high-risk areas, minimize and manage risk, Regular safety audits are mandatory, and having procedures in place to report, assess, and address potential risk. Safe work method statement must be prepared for all high-risk construction projects before commencement of site activities. Clear signages should be displayed with all safety protocols readily available. Chemicals need to be carefully stored to minimize fires, explosions, suffocation, injury, and pollution on work sites. On-site frequency plan should provide clear guidelines for extreme weather and severe environmental conditions or other emergency circumstances. There should be first aid kits and equipment must be placed on sites in easily accessible locations. Project site safety requires the use of hand hats, steel toe boots, and reflective safety vests. Now we'll talk about site security. There must be provision of security personnel and gadgets. It doesn't require too much emphasis. Restricted access should be put in place to protect equipment from damage or theft. Strict security and safety protocols forestall liability and negligence in the case of safety accident or security breach. Separate entry and exit points should be established to enhance security and also pedestrian safety at high traffic points. Let us try to conclude this small presentation. In conclusion, effective management and control system must recognize the basic requirements of good highway engineering. Use of the most suitable and durable materials, the most effective and economic plants, and properly trained labor, which we knit together with skillful, well-informed supervision. Results and performance must be systematically monitored and compared against the planned program, and this must be arranged to provide management information sufficient early to permit appropriate corrective action where necessary. That's the brief of what I have. And like I said, I may be the chief presenter, while all the participants are presenters on their own accord. Good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, our presenter, for the wonderful presentation. If you have any question, please kindly go to the chat box and raise up your hands. Kindly raise up your hand if you have any contribution. If you have questions, raise up your hand, or any questions or contributions. Before then, go to the chat box to write your name and your email address and your phone number. Write your name the way you want it to appear on the certificate, because after now we'll be giving that certificate of attendance. Any question? Does anyone have a question? So while waiting for questions and contribution, let me quickly recognize the presence of our senior colleagues who are with us on this public lecture. First, I will recognize the presence of past Vice President, Engineer Dr. Chukwu Makachi, retired. I also recognize the presence of Engineer Bennett Oswala. I recognize the presence of Engineer Dr. Hippolyte Oyekwere. They also recognize the presence of Engineer Tauhid Amusan.
And they are very
old senior colleague, Engineer Joshua Sanga.
You are highly welcome.
You are highly welcome.
Engineer Humphrey
Okereke.
Recognize your presence. Engineer
Mrs. Ijoma Amechina.
One of our latest
fellows that also recognize your presence in the house. Engineer Bridget Damjo, past executive member of the FNSE Abuja branch, I recognize your presence. You are welcome. And then our publicity secretary, Engineer Kennedy Ibechem, you are welcome. Engineer Paul Imohunsi, you are welcome. Our own engineer Augustina Owugachi, I recognize your presence as well. And then every other person I could not mention your name, you are really highly welcome. And of course,
our chairman, Engineer Ben
Osi Oko, giving us this opportunity
to learn this hour on this very interesting topic.
So like I said before,
kindly go to the chat box and then put down your names the way you want it to appear on the certificate, because we issue certificates of attendance.
Put down your names the way you want it to appear on the certificate, because you can also include your email address and your phone number so that we can get it across to you. So I'm still waiting for questions
and
contribution.
So if there are none,
I can hand over to
my chairman
for
his remarks
before we end the public lecture.
Emphasize on this. I think they can. Please, before we round it up, can we take questions? Just click on the reaction button and then you can send in your question through the chat box so that we can respond to that and then close the session for today. Check the chat box. This is all. Engineer Onyekwere, Hippolyte Onyekwere, wanted to ask a question.
Yes, can I be unmuted?
You have been unmuted, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Engineer Anaduaka. I really appreciate your lecture. It's very, very interesting.
My doctor, thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. It shows how we used to do it those days, in the early days.
Yes. You're one of the fathers.
We used to follow procedures and ethics of the profession in executing our work. But nowadays, you find the people clicking together to do what they like. There's no more order. The organogram is no longer followed to the letter. Can you hear me?
We're hearing you, doctor.
So,
doctor, we're hearing you clear.
Good. The laboratories are not allowed to perform their duties. The technicians and technologists in the laboratories are no longer allowed to perform their duties effectively. The leadership, especially the project manager and his contractor and the contractors, they no longer allow the engineers to perform their duties, in their line of action. The surveyors are no longer allowed to take levels of alignments, horizontal alignments, and vertical alignments. The road configuration are no longer followed to the letters, especially for indigenous contractors. But you find that the foreign contractors are living up to the standards as of now. So what I want to say in essence is that we should improve in our area of practice. The monitoring aspects should come back to life once more. Then another thing is the allocation of resources. You find that there are no funds to allow the execution of different aspects of the project. It's very inconvenient to operate, to run a site without financial allocation. So that you find that most of the many things to be done are not done. And that leads to system collapse. Some of the times there are no funds for fuel, common simple as fuel, or even telecommunication at the sites. So I'm urging the system to improve. So I thank you for reminding us once more of how we used to do it those days. How we used to take soil samples along the alignment at intervals and make sure the compaction and the dry densities are achieved. But nowadays, the rollers, the compactors are no longer vibrating. They don't know the degrees of vibration to be allowed to get things done. The roller just goes there and goes up and down without achieving any degree of compaction. I don't want to continue saying all these things, but let's see how we can improve. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Hippolyte. Thank you for your presentation. Like I said, we are all presenters so that we are seeking to maintain the dynamics in highway engineering. From what you have said, we also need to be talking to our colleagues to do their best, even when the funds are not enough. Reduce the yes, I do the correcting, and then the progress.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Dr. Hippolyte Oyekwere.
Engineer
Humphrey,
you
can go ahead.
Okay, good. I have just been unmuted. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to. Thank you very much, our senior colleague, for the wonderful lecture. I would want to mention something that I think the engineering body, especially in the built environment, should pay more attention to. I am saying this because I am a participant in that area, and that is the area of geotechnical engineering, which is the bedrock of all built structures, be it highway, buildings, bridges, and what have you. I noticed, and that unfortunately, that many of our Nigerian engineers, when they want to do their quality assurance and quality control, somehow they pay more attention to the surveyors. Have you taken your levels? How did you do it? Where do you want us to do a cut? Where do you want us to do a fee and all those? But most times, once a soil report, a geotechnical report is submitted to them, they don't tend to query it. They don't tend, or maybe they don't understand how to query it. And many times they base their designs on those reports, which in many cases are wrong. They base their design on that, and sometimes they do over design. Some other time it leads to under design. Sometimes it leads to project failure and all those. I'm saying this because I am a practitioner in the geotechnical engineering sector for about 14 years, and I know that many of the reports that some of our colleagues bring out as soil reports are not to be trusted. It's unfortunate, but that is the truth. Today, a colleague of mine had to send me a soil report that they are about basing their design on to build a 3-story building in Lagos. It's actually supposed to be a plaza, a very big plaza in Lagos. And then they had contracted, so to say, a soil specialist, a geotechnical specialist, who claimed that he had gone to site, he did the work and submitted a report. Fortunately for him, he knew I could help him, advise him on the recommendations of the report. Looking at the report, nothing seemed to agree. They did 2 major field reports, field tests. None of them agreed. The lab does not agree. The recommendation, nothing seems to agree. And I told him that most probably these people had not gone to site. They have just sitting down somewhere, gather information here and there, and wrote this report. And writing this report, they are not even experienced. And so they are not able to quality check themselves. And on further interrogation and further investigation, they noticed, unfortunately, that those people indeed didn't even go to that site at all. Actually, they went to the site to take photos, but they didn't do any work at all. So it's a menace that I think the Nigerian Society of Engineers should look at how to address and how to encourage engineers to begin to look at the technical investigation reports. If time is given to me, understanding geotechnical investigation report is so simple. It looks complicated, but if you know the dynamics, the techniques, it's very simple to take a geotechnical investigation report and quality check it. So that when we are, because that is the foundation, that is the basis of many things we do. We do our design based on what has been recommended, so that when we are doing such designs, we are sure that we are doing designs based on what is correct. So I may need to discuss with our president on how, give suggestions maybe on how, even if it is to start issue with our Abuja branch, on how our engineers can begin to quality check geotechnical investigation report. Later, our quality checking not just be on the surveyors. Geotechnical investigation, geotechnical engineering is a very fundamental aspect of all the work we do. I am saying this based on what our senior colleague, Hippolyte, FNSE, is saying, that people are tending to depart from the norms that from what we used to be, which is what gives birth to quality engineering projects and products. People are tending to depart from it to just doing things anyhow. So I thank you again, our teacher. And then I think we may need to, as a society, begin to look at how do we tackle this menace, because it's pervasive in the industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Humphrey, for your contribution. Then we need to be talking to our colleagues, especially those who are connected with the project development. There's a lot of room for improvement,
Yeah, thank you very much for your wonderful contribution. Before we continue, let me quickly recognize the presence of Engineer Christopher Chibo Nna, and then Engineer Peter Oke. They are General Secretary Engineer Eze Chichuku. You are all welcome. So if there are no other questions, I invite former Vice President
Engineer
Chukwuma Kachi
for his
for his comments. Okay, so while waiting for Engineer Chukwuma Kachi, let me invite Engineer Amosun to read for his comments.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was on the phone over an urgent call. Okay, we thank our presenter for a good job he has done. It's not surprising. We have always known him as a guru in that direction. So we appreciate his presentation. And we hope more other senior engineers will also make presentation in future to guide the younger ones. But I must say that I'm surprised that only about 30 people, and many of us are already even the elderly ones that are hooked on. One would have expected the younger ones to hook on more. So my suggestion is that efforts should be made to sensitize these younger ones, that they need this knowledge. We know that things are difficult, that everybody is talking about money and money, but then knowledge is still very important, especially now that we're having so many engineers being churned out. Is the little extra knowledge you have that will give you advantage over others. So we have to talk to them. Again, I thank Engineer Obi Anaduaka for the insightful lecture. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Engineer Dr. Chukwuma Kachi. So let me invite Engineer Tohid Amusa for his comments.
Engineer Kachi is one of our leaders. He has always been there. Very, very, very active engineer and notable in the affairs of FNSE.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, Amusa?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, my very senior colleagues and my contemporaries. It's so nice being here this afternoon, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the lecture. Engineer Anaduaka is in a very familiar terrain. He's done this over and over again, and is with a lot of experience. And like Engineer Kachi said, FNSE, Engineer Dr. Kachi, FNSE PhD, said this lecture would have been better if a lot of our younger engineers are on the platform. I think Engineer Ben Osi has done his bit, but a lot of people don't seem to be interested. And I don't know how we're going to get a critical mass to always log on to this. I think that's the only distraction, the only minus. We need to get more younger engineers to be, and those practicing middle cadre engineer too, because it is what you know that you give. You don't know, you are what you know actually. So I really appreciate this, and I hope we'll get many more. Thank you so very much, Engineer Ben Osi. This is a very great
Thank you, Engineer Amusa.
Thank you, Engineer Anaduaka.
My team member in Germany.
Yeah, that's the general.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Tohid Amusa.
Is it possible that we have some of this in recordings for younger engineers?
Yes.
Yes, the Secretariat will always be ready. Okay, Chairman, we are there to please respond.
I think you can put all this together in a media or something.
Yes, we'll present the recording. That's why if you look at the Zoom, we are recording the lecture. Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me invite the chairman, Engineer Ben Osioko, FNSE, for his comment before we wrap up the lecture.
All right. Thank you very much, the Technical Secretary, Engineer Felix Omombale. I want to sincerely thank you for your doggedness and for your commitment to the cause of the profession and your service to the branch. On behalf of the Executive Committee, I wish to sincerely thank our presenter, Engineer Obi Anaduaka, for FNSE and fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Highway and Transportation Engineers for this beautiful lecture he has given to us this afternoon. I pray that God will continue to grant you, sir, wisdom, knowledge, good health as you continue your service to the profession. And to all the participants, I want to thank you sincerely for creating our time to participate in today's lecture. God will bless you immensely. We'll continue to do our best to ensure that we bring on your stable all the things that will help to enhance our professional competencies and development. Once again, we thank you all and we wish you a very wonderful season ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, my chairman, and thank every participant. God bless you. Have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you, fellas. You see, okay.